one of the most mysterious stories of a crashed UFO with alien bodies, preceded the well-known Roswell event by some 6 years. This case was first brought to investigators by Leo Stringfield in his book UFO Crash Retrievals, The Inner Sanctum. He opened a tantalizing account of a military-controlled UFO crash retrieval, which is still being researched today, Cape Girardeau, Missouri in the spring of 1941. Reverend William Huffman of Cape Girardeau, Missouri was called by the local sheriff to come and assist in delivering some sort of last rites at a plane crash. When Huffman arrived at the scene, he realized that it was not a plane, but rather a classic silver flying saucer. There were multiple dead bodies on the scene, which appeared to be extraterrestrial. Reverend William Huffman had been an evangelist for many years, but had taken the resident minister reins of the Red Star Baptist Church in early 1941. Church records corroborate his employment there during the period in question. Upon arriving at the scene of the crash, he saw policemen, fire department personnel, FBI agents, and photographers already mulling through the wreckage. UFO researcher Leonard Stringfield, who heavily researched this case, says that near the scene of the saucer crash were laid 3 bodies, not human. It was hard to tell if these extraterrestrials were wearing clothes, but they were covered head to foot in what looked like wrinkled aluminum foil. They were small-framed, about 4 feet tall, but had larger heads and longer arms. They had no hair. Their faces had large, oval-shaped eyes, no noses, no ears, just holes and no lips, just small slits for mouths. Huffman was told by one of the military officers at the scene not to tell anyone what he had witnessed for security reasons. Nevertheless, as he arrived back at his home, he was still in a state of mild shock, and could not keep his story from his wife Floy and his sons. It was not a conventional aircraft, as we know it. He described it as a saucer that was metallic in color, no seams, did not look like anything he had seen. It had been broken open in one portion, and so he could walk up and see that. In looking in, he saw a small metal chair, gauges and dials and things he had never seen. However, what impressed him most was around the inside there were inscriptions and writings, which he said he did not recognize, but were similar to Egyptian hieroglyphics. There were 3 entities, or non-human people, lying on the ground. 2 were just outside the saucer, and a third one was further out. His understanding was that perhaps that third one was not dead on impact. There had been mention of a ball of fire, yet there was fire around the crash site, but none of the entities had been burned, and so Father did pray over them, giving them last rites. There were many people there, fire people, photographers, and so they lifted up 1, and 2 men on either side stood him up and they stretched his arms out. They had him up under the armpits and out here. As I recall from the picture I saw, he was about 4 feet tall, appeared to have no bone structure, soft looking. He had a suit on, or we assume it was a suit, it could have been his skin, and what looked like crinkled, soft aluminum foil. I recall it had very long hands, very long fingers, and I think there were 3. I thought Cape Girardeau, spaceship crash, aliens, you've got to be kidding me, said Paul Blake Smith, the author of MO41 The Bombshell Before Roswell. That sparked Smith's desire to write a book about the alleged crash. Everyone was told, do not talk about this. This is a matter of national security. It didn't happen, he said. According to what Smith found out, the crash happened late April 1941. He said the UFO went down in a field somewhere west of the Cape Girardeau airport between Cape Girardeau and Chaffee. When he got there, he got the shock of his life. There was no cylindrical airplane with wings or propellers. There was a round silver disc that was broken open, and there were debris metallic shards in the field that had set fire to the field, said Smith. Smith said the US military eventually arrived at the crash site, forced everyone to secrecy, and took all the evidence. Ever since, it's a big mystery. Where did they take the physical evidence, the bodies, the debris, and the crashed vehicle that was cracked open, which had little gauges on a kind of instrument panel and tiny little seats? And some hieroglyphic writing on a silver band inside the cockpit. He couldn't make it out. He thought it was very mysterious, said Smith. After KFVS-12 reached out to the FBI, officials responded and said, "We were unable to identify records responsive to your request." The United States Air Force had a similar response and said they researched their files and found no documentation concerning this event. Air Force officials also said a review of the histories for the Air Corps Training Detachment at Sikeston, Missouri was undertaken. Regrettably, no mention was found in the official unit histories regarding such an incident. "The Cape Girardeau story should be a big bombshell story that got squelched," said Smith. The existence of intelligent alien creatures is a possibility. During the long history in the search for intelligent life outside the planet, many researchers have confirmed the existence of such alien beings that we call grey aliens, and some assert that this is not far from the planet Earth, and may be very close on the Moon.